Hello. Now, there's not many telescopes in the 100 to 150 pound dollar range that are really any good. So, what I'm looking at is a possible telescope that will fit in that price bracket, which would be decent optically and acceptable in other ways that we can possibly add to our range at First Light Optics. As you can see, this has got the First Light Optics sticker on it, and that's it's because we got one of these in to test out to see if we want to add it to our range or not. At the moment, we've got things like the Heritage 100p, the Zummel 114, and the Mercury 707 is a little difficult to get hold of at the moment. So that's kind of prompted us to sort of shop around for something tripod mounted. Now, this is the Bresser Classic 6900. So 60 represents the diameter of the lens and 900 is how long the focal length is in millimeters. So it's a proper classic refractor with a focal ratio of f15. So it's going to be really well corrected for all the wavelengths of light, so it won't show much colour fringing, if at all any. It should be pretty much apochromatic, only a much longer telescope than a fancy apochromatic refractor. This is how they used to do it in the old days. They used to make the tube longer, so the light bends more gently to reach focus, and it gives it a chance then that all the wavelengths can focus in the same place. Now, I've spotted this comes with quite a lot of accessories, which I can't imagine are going to be that great, considering that the whole package costs around £115. It's also very light, so with any unboxing, it really does help if you give like measurements of things, because usually when people are looking for unboxing videos, they're looking for specific information. So it comes in a box that's, you know, 35.5 inches, 90 centimeters by about 10.5 inches, which is 27 centimeters. And how tall is it? It's about just over 6 inches or 16 centimeters. I think it's 2.3 kilograms, so this whole box is super light. So the key is, when people are shopping for, you know, just testing the water with a telescope, just to see, you know, whether they like the idea of using a telescope in astronomy. The idea is that they don't want to spend a lot of money, but they don't want to be put off the hobby by having something that's a bit rubbish. So already we've got like what looks like quite a sizable manual for this. Thanks for joining me while I check this out, by the way. I just thought, you know, some of you might be interested. It's a little bit of a crossover between my own personal channel and the First Light Optics channel, this. So yeah, got quite a thick booklet and sky chart software to download. Okay, so that's quite good. That's just like a big sack of accessories in there. Spreader tray with eyepiece holders, a light aluminium tripod with a classic yoke mount. Now, the telescope I got when I was about 7 had a yoke mount, and frankly put me off the whole idea of a yoke mount until actually fairly recently, when I tested out the Skywatcher Mercury 707 and was actually surprised how good that yoke mount was, because it was just so well balanced. I'm hoping the same thing's going to, I hope it's going to be the case that this is the same. And I mean, it's all metal and that's quite nicely dampened actually. So yeah, it's promising so far. Let's extend the legs out and have a look. So it's a single extension. So it's a 2-part tripod. No doubt that just kind of goes on there. I'm a typical man that doesn't look at instructions unless I have to. But I've assembled enough telescopes now that I can kind of wing it. This is going to be the optical tube, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's in that big sack of accessories, although all that stuff's got to be remarkably cheaply made if this whole thing's £115. So as I said, the thing that appealed to me about this is the optical tube, because it's going to be really well corrected with it being so long and bending the light so gently. I do have a soft spot for this classic f15 refractor. They've also got very deep focus, like with very fast Newtonians, for example, the sweet spot on the focus is so shallow, but this has got a very deep focus, like you'll be able to move it in and out a bit and it will still be in focus, which kind of makes it easier for kids to reach focus as well. And also, when this is going to be mounted and pointed up at the sky, that brings the eyepiece and focuser down to where younger kids can reach it as well, or adults in a seated position. So as long as this is stable enough on there, I think, yeah, it goes that way. As long as this mounts stable enough to cope with this long tube, I think it could be promising, which is the whole idea of why we're having a look at it. It's just how well this is going to balance. I notice this pivot point's quite far down the tube and not sort of in the centre, which is a bit of a concern. There we go. So now attach these little Ujima flips. Yeah, man. There we go. Maybe by the time I've got the diagonal on and an eyepiece, it's going to balance a bit better. But it locks in place with that okay. And then there's slow motion control for up and down here. And it seems to move pretty nicely that way. I do like the classic white. Let's have a look at the objective lens as well. Yeah, that's tiny. And it's quite dark in there. It's got a single magnesium fluoride coating, which is consistent with how these classic refractors used to be coated, not multi-coated. So you can stop it down by just taking that bit off and put some solar film over there or whatever for solar viewing. Warning not to look directly at the sun, of course. Mustn't do that. And if you're using these with kids, definitely use supervision in the daytime. Okay, let's have a look what's in this bag of bits and bobs. A dinky finder scope. Optical finder scope, not a red dot finder scope. Okay, I think it's like 24 by 5 or something in that region. Very small eye lens. It's all going together nice and easy so far. which bodes well for anyone who's new to telescopes. Let's undo that. So you do need to have that locked at the moment, but it's easy to lock and unlock. Right. It'll probably balance better by the time, I mean, yeah, it's got a bit of weight to it, so it's probably going to balance better with the diagonal in place. We can't expect a lot in terms of the accessories. I keep mentioning the cost, 115 for a telescope. Let's have a look at this mirror. Yeah, just a standard mirror diagonal. I much prefer that to having a prism, because the cheaper prisms that are included with these beginner telescopes tend to impart a diffraction spike through bright point source objects like bright stars and things like Jupiter and Saturn. They will have like a bright line through them, and you don't get that with a mirror diagonal. The benefit of the prisms that these come with are that it fully corrects the image up, down, left and right for daytime use, but for astronomy, a mirror diagonal like this is going to be a better option. So I'm glad it's got a mirror diagonal, as this is really an astronomical telescope primarily. I mean, this is all plastic, but what can you expect, really? 115. It even comes with a basic smartphone adapter, so we definitely need to check out taking a couple of pictures of the moon and maybe Jupiter using this phone adapter on there. I'll use the included eyepieces, but I'll also use a couple of cheap Plossels as well, which are a good upgrade without breaking the bank. They're about £20 each, just because I feel that anyone who gets this will probably want to upgrade from whatever these are. They're going to be super cheap and probably not do the actual optics of the telescope justice. This looks like a bathroom, you know, matte sucker pad. So let me grab my phone and just see how that kind of sticks to it. It's got a band round now as well, just to help keep it in place. Yeah, that'll work, won't it? And you can stick it on there with the sticky pads. Yeah, that should work fine. The sticky pads actually stick. And then there's a screw to hold it around the eyepiece barrel. What have we got here though? SR 4mm. SR Ramsden. So that's a really old design. This is all plastic, not even a rubber eye cup. Looks like one of those lemon squeezers, but it's in a kind of a volcano, classic orthoscopic volcano style eyepiece to go with the theme of the classic refractor, but obviously super cheap, right down to not having even a metal barrel. And an SR eyepiece is a very old basic design, so these are going to be very cheaply made and probably not do the optics justice as mentioned. So definitely I'd look to upgrade. Also 4mm with a 900mm focal length telescope. To get the magnification, you divide the 900mm by the number there, so 900 divided by 4. Oh, what would that be? That'd be 904. It's going to be about 225. That's too much for this telescope. With small telescopes, you can go up to roughly a magnification of twice the aperture in millimeters. So if it's got a 60mm aperture, you could probably take this up to about 120 times magnification, and that's where the resolution will kind of halt. So this is way too powerful of an eyepiece. I wouldn't even, I mean, I'll try it, but I already know that's going to be next to useless. Let's have a look what else we've got. Okay, so this is a Huygens, that's an even more terrible design of eyepiece, unfortunately. Again, completely plastic. These are probably the cheapest eyepieces I've ever come across. But then again, 115 for all this, what am I expecting really? I think if we consider selling this, we should definitely have a upgrade option for the eyepieces readily available, or at least, or maybe swap out the eyepieces for something a bit better and just adjust the price slightly, because these aren't going to do the telescope justice. But I will try them out. So that is a Huygens, which is a very old design, really simple design, hundreds of years old, invented by the astronomer Huygens, and that's a 12.5mm. So that's going to be in the region of 900 divided by 12.5. It's going to be about 75-ish, isn't it? Times magnification. So that's going to be usable with this telescope. That's good. I'm surprised it comes with 3 eyepieces, actually, because telescopes usually come with 1 or 2. And this one is another Huygens. Bigger eye lens, that's good, and 20mm. So that's going to give about 45 times magnification, and I think this is going to probably be the best, the sharpest eyepiece out the bunch and the easiest to use with this telescope without upgrading the eyepieces. I mean, 45 times is still enough to be able to see craters on the moon and Saturn's rings, and Jupiter with its major 4 moons, Io, Europa, Callisto and Ganymede orbiting. And what we got here, we've got a plastic tube with a lens down it. It was kind of like a Barlow. So that's a 1.5 erecting eyepiece Barlow, and I can pretty much guarantee that's going to be junk, but I will try it out. And that's pretty much it. Let's see how well it balances with an eyepiece in the diagonal. If I undo that now. Yes. Oh yeah, perfect. This is looking very promising, actually. Okay, right. I would like to try this out for this video, but it's daytime. So can I? I don't really want my neighbours to think I'm spying on them, so I'm going to try and point this at the back garden. Let's take it outside and have a quick look. Other than the tripod legs being quite wide, it does go through doorways okay, and I'm literally carrying it with 3 fingers. It's so super duper light. So let's have a look at the height. Well, I've got my tape measure. So with the tripod fully extended, the tube's sitting around about 45, 46 inches, just over a metre, 105 centimetres, that kind of thing. And the legs are 34 inches apart when fully extended, which is 87 centimetres. And I think it's 2 or 3 kilos, but you can see how easy to pick up that is. Clearly I'll do a follow-up video where I test this out under the stars, hopefully under the moon, because this is going to be ideal for the planets and the bright planets and the moon. With 60mm of aperture, it really isn't going to be any good for deep sky objects other than like double stars, maybe the odd little glob cluster. Open clusters with a wide angle eyepiece. What can I focus on that's really far away? I'm nowhere near the sun, thankfully. Opposite direction to where that is at the moment. Yeah, I've got a nice focus on some moss on a roof tile, and it's set the vibrations are settling. 1, 2, 3 seconds, so that's absolutely fine. When you move it, it's staying where I'm putting it. Oh, TV aerial, perfect. That means I can line up the finder scope. Let's do that. But yeah, that's looking sharp enough, and it's easy to get into focus as well. Let's see how difficult it is to line this tiny plastic finder scope. Is it anywhere near the target I want? Not quite at the moment, and it's not in focus either. So there's the focusing mechanism for, let's focus it first of all. Okay, so that's focus for my eyes. I'm just going to adjust it so it's pointing at where I need it to point. I don't think it's very good on the adjustment. Let's have a little look. It's kind of roughly... come on. There we go. Ooh, I can see a blackbird now. Is that showing through the finder scope? It's a little bit off. The finder's not very easy to adjust, I must admit, so that is one downside. I'll have to play with that. It might be that I can just kind of twist it a little bit there and tighten it. Ooh, that's gone the wrong way, I think. The finder is close but no cigar, but the actual optics look decent considering I'm using an Huygens eyepiece. Yeah, this is going to need a little bit of work to align, but I'm quite happy with how this is sitting on there and balancing and moving around. I don't think you need to have that done up. You can just literally tighten those up, just like the Mercury 707 I reviewed, which I was pleasantly surprised by. So this could be an even more slightly affordable version with better corrected optics because it's longer. It's going to slope the light more gently and bring all those different wavelengths of light to the same focus. Only we just got a 10mm deficit on the aperture compared to the Mercury 707. Cool. I wonder if I can attach the phone adapter. I'll do that on the next video. This has gone on for perhaps long enough for one video, but so far promising. Apart from the finder scope, I'll take a bit more of a careful look at that. Hello, I just wanted to face the camera to thank my channel members and patrons and for everyone for watching. On the next video, I'll probably venture into testing out that smartphone adapter and the included eyepieces compared to some readily available and affordable Plossels to see how that improves the views. And I've got an Heritage 100p in the garage, so it'd be a bit of a shame not to test it against that, as they are roughly about the same price, and just see how they stack up against each other as a beginner telescope on a tight budget. Cool, okay, so thanks for watching, and I'll catch everyone on the next video. Bye for now.